Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Ask PQ on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Hi Navneet, I'm Alex Matthew. If you've got questions on equity, do send them to us on any one of our social media platforms. That's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp. You can also call us on 022-454-04141, or you can mail us on askpq@bloombergquint.com.
All right, and before we get to the individual queries on the show, let's quickly tell you what's happening with the markets. It's been a strong start to this fresh week. In fact, Nifty and Sensex, both the frontline indices, have touched their fresh live highs today. So 12,325. And remember, all through the session, Nifty's traded above the mark of 12,300, which is a positive sign. Sensex also sitting with gains of about nearly 250 points. And it's just not about the frontline indices. You've got the broader market indices as well, which have been contributing to the gains that we've seen in the last 2 to 3 sessions. So mid cap, small cap also registering gains of about closer to 1%. But remember, 2 weeks to go for the union budget. Though the markets are scaling higher, that's not the case with India VIX. That's not correcting with the markets. That's the usual trend that we usually see. But India VIX has been trending high. So 14.3 could be a comfortable sign for the bulls, but you can expect India VIX to inch even higher from the current levels. In terms of market breadth, that too is positive. So advanced decline ratio of the entire listed universe and National Stock Exchange has been firmly in favor of the advances. The ratio seems to be 2:1 right now. And Nifty contributors, which are the stocks which are contributing to the gains, and goes without saying, it's Infosys, which has about 5% weightage on Nifty, is contributing nearly 30 points. So majority of the gains are coming from there. Other heavyweights like HDFC Bank and Reliance Industries also contributing their bit. But what's capping the moves are the likes of the other heavyweights, HDFC and TCS, which are trading in the negative territory. But there are a lot of stocks in the broader markets which are doing well. So look at counters like BHEL, which has gained today, and also something like Tata Global Beverages, which is trading at its fresh 52-week high, and also Ramco Cements, which has gained about 1.5%. Remember, there are reports indicating that South-based cement companies could go in for another price hike this week, on back of which you are seeing gains for something like Ramco Cement. On the losing side, stocks which were inching high in last week or 2 weeks have started to witness profit booking. So something like Kakatiya Cement, that's down about 10% in trade, and Adani Green has been locked in lower circuit of about 5%, and also Shakti Pumps, which was quite active in the last 2 or 3 sessions, is witnessing profit booking. That one's down about nearly 5%. So things are looking good. Alex, I think crude is under control now. We are at live high levels. I think everything hinges on what happens in the budget, because the technical analysts are now looking for levels of 12,500 on Nifty.
In fact, let's go to one of our guests. Let me introduce you to both of them. In fact, we've got Jignesh Mehta, technical analyst at kiranjadhav.com, and independent investment advisor Sharmila Joshi, who's joining us in studio. Thank you so much to the both of you for joining us today. I want to come to you, Jignesh, first on what Navneet just spoke about. 12,500 is now a level. Is that something that you're looking at as well? In fact, why don't you tell us what levels you're looking at and what picks you have in the market today?
Right, Alex. I think, as rightly pointed out and rightly said by Navneet, the India VIX is going higher, and with the current derivative expiry series, if we see whatever the call writing that is happening, it is happening at 12,500 only. So even my target from now onwards will be 12,500. We should not forget that this budget is something that all market participants are looking at with a great hope. And I think it is transpired on the Nifty as well. Today we are not only trading above the yesterday's high, but all-time high, which suggests that it is all around buying that is happening, and 12,500 would be my target. On the lower side, I think 12,260 should be the stop loss for this trade, but 12,500 seems pretty much on the cards.
Okay, while technically we wait for 12,500 on Nifty, let's also go across to Sharmila and ask her, what should one do, Sharmila, at these live high levels? They're just about Nifty and Sensex. I know the broader markets have been underperforming, but we've seen participation coming back from there in run-up to the budget. Would you advise someone to, take any fresh portfolio calls right now, wait out till the budget, analyze it properly, and then go ahead and build your portfolio?
Yeah, so, I think, ever since this year started, all of 15 days ago, the big debate has been that maybe mid-caps, small caps could be the flavor of this year. And there's a lot of analysis out there suggesting why that could be the case. I don't completely belong to that camp because I think still that there is what we are really seeing is that money is chasing the sort of the large caps which are making money. And you know, when you look at any other stock in the mid cap, small cap space, there are too many ifs and buts because a lot of those stocks are dependent on some other sector to give better macro data, and then they can start improving. For instance, auto ancillaries. If you start seeing better numbers from cars, then automatically ancillaries will look better, tires will do well. If you see real estate doing well, getting sold, especially you know, the housing part of real estate, then maybe paint companies could see another up leg, or tile companies, etc. So sort of going through all that, there are still 2 or 3 sectors which according to me don't belong to that if and but. I think one is clearly the life insurance space. We got data this morning which again sort of points out to the fact that the growth there is still very strong. So I think you can buy any of the stocks within that space, whether it's an HDFC Life, SBI Life, ICICI Pru. I've suggested in the past that you build a basket. I think another basket that you can also build is with gas companies, because I think what's happening over there is that you're actually seeing a move towards gas, whether it's for cars, whether it's for industrial use, whether it is for having piped gas in your homes. So you're seeing an increasing shift towards gas as the choice fuel going ahead. I think the currently is about 6%, and that's expected to go up to about 15%. So there's a lot of room there for companies to improve. I mean, to get more business. You know, they'll just increase their pipeline, etc., and get more business. And just now the stocks have corrected because natural gas prices have corrected. So I think this is a good time to enter, whether you're talking of Indraprastha Gas, which is my favorite stock, but even a Gujarat Gas or a Mahanagar Gas, any of those stocks would look good to me.
Okay. You've picked up last year winners, insurance and gas companies.
Yeah,
very, very coincidentally. But as I'm saying, because they don't have those ifs and buts attached to them.
Sure.
Fair enough. I have another interesting question, and this is in fact the first question that we got today on YouTube. Akash Agarwal is asking about Gillette and whether it should be bought fundamentally. You know, the tagline is the best that a man can get, right? But apparently with the consumption slowdown, maybe men are buying less of Gillette, and that's why the stock is corrected as much as...
I think beards are in vogue. That's
well, that's another possibility. But
no, but it's a good stock. Yeah. I mean, this is just a joke. It's a good stock. It has a very solid moat, etc. You know, all those concepts that you talk about. But very honestly, within the FMCG space, again, my liking would be more for a Dabur going ahead as compared to a Gillette. But if you have it, definitely hold it.
Alex, you don't have an option. You have to come to work daily.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice.
All right, let me move on to the stock of today then, and that's Infosys. Nagraj Kinney writes to us, and Nagraj asking what can be the target price for Infi for the next 18 to 24 months. So it's a long-term call. Sharmila, I come back to you. The numbers were in line. There was marginal appreciation with regard to margin expansion that we saw. And I think the biggest takeaway, 2 takeaways, revision in revenue guidance, and second, a clean chit from the audit committee for the whistleblower complaint. The valuation gap with TCS of 25%. Of course, with today's move, that would have narrowed a bit. But do you think it can be a long-term bet vis-a-vis the other IT companies? So
first off, my favorite stock within the IT large cap is HCL Tech. Okay. So
undervalued.
Yeah, various reasons. So just coming to Infosys, since the query is directly for Infosys, I think yes, the audit committee, but it's an internal audit committee that has given the clean chit. You will still wait to hear what SEC has to say. Not that I'm suggesting that SEC is going to say anything different, but you need to wait and hear what SEC says. Again, coming to the revenue basket, definitely I think the way digital grew is really something to sit up and take notice of.
Yep.
Because that clearly points the way to how things are heading, and they seem to be on a very strong wicket. So yeah, I think that's it. I think if you have it, hold it. This 3% upside that we've seen was a given because it had to come back to those levels that it was at, you know, before this whistleblower. So what if you listen to the conference on Friday, their investor conference with the management, one of the questions that was asked repeatedly to them is, and they joked about it, Mr. Nilekani joked about it, and he said this is season 3 of whistleblower complaints.
Oh, yes.
So what I mean to say is that they don't seem to have a fix really going ahead of how they're going to address this issue. That's what I'd really like to see, because there is no taking away from the fact that there is a season 4 waiting to happen. So that's what my concern is, because this takes a deep, it really shakes confidence then in the stock level. Like for instance, very comfortably I can say from here that you will get a 10-15% return in 18 months. But what if after exactly 15 months there is another whistleblower?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah.
So, that's the concern. But otherwise, I think definitely, as I said, there is a 15% return on if you have an 18-month period.
In fact, Abhijit Kamaru is saying exactly that he would not want to take that chance. He's holding Infosys at 650, and after today's rally, he's thinking of selling, which you're essentially saying shift to HCL Tech or something like that.
I like HCL Tech, meaning I own Infosys, I'm not selling it.
Yeah.
So, very clearly I know that what I mean to say is you have to be prepared for this, because this is how it's going to be.
All right. We've got the next question on RNAM, which is, we've got a viewer called Boss, who's bought at levels of 343, and he's wondering why it has not participated in the rally in such stocks. We've talking about HDFC AMC, which has gone from strength to strength. It's RNAM currently trading just about flat as of now. He's asking for a stop loss and a target, Jignesh. On the charts, where do you see it going?
Well, on the charts, RNAM looks quite positive. It is not that the stock hasn't gained any momentum. Yes, after the up move in October, the stock is clearly going into consolidation, but still it looks good on the chart. Currently, with the level of 342, I would suggest the stop loss at around 310, and I would like to hold this counter. I think 381 is somewhere this counter is going. Firstly, if it can go above 381, which is its earlier high, I think stock can perform even better after that. But RNAM is something that one should hold and should not get out with a clear stop loss.
Okay, don't exit your position is something Jignesh is suggesting. Stay put with RNAM. The next one is on India Cement, and we were talking about the south-based cement companies. There is news that they would be increasing prices this week itself. So Subrendu wants to know what to do because he has a position at levels of 81 and the stock currently trades somewhere about 80. Jignesh, with the recent move of last 3 or 4 session, India Cement on the charts has crossed its simple 100-day moving average. If somebody is holding a position at 80, 81, what would your advice be?
I think yes, after closing above its 50-day and 100-day moving average, stock has clearly gained some momentum. But we should not forget the stock has been underperformers along with its other cement counter, and stock was clearly going down until last 15 or 16 trading sessions. The stock has started coming up. I think some breather is required from here on. So one can hold this stock with a stop loss of 77. Stock has a mild resistance at 83. If it can cross 83 level, I think it is clearly going to 89, which is also its 200-day simple moving average.
Okay, we've got Mayank, who's bought Gati and is holding at levels of 53, significant numbers. 10,000 shares have been bought by Mayank. Stock is currently trading at 63. In fact, it's up about 4.3%. As we speak. What should he do with this on a fundamental basis? Should he hold on to this?
I think my problem with this logistics space is that the GST was supposed to do wonders, and you were supposed to see that shift towards organized play, etc. But that hasn't really panned out. But that said, I think, because of the way things have been little subdued over there, perhaps this could be one of those mid caps that could sort of emerge from the shadows and take it there. So it's a decent enough stock. So I think, yes, you can continue to hold.
Okay, so that's a Gati for you. And interesting query coming in from a handle called Market Man, Sharmila, asking why Jairocare has been underperforming the other diagnostic players like Dr. Lal Path Labs as well as Metropolis, which have given you good returns in the last 1 year. If you're tracking the space, what about Jairocare?
Yeah, so I really don't know why it is underperforming. It's again a space that I like, and again I think it's one of those spaces which are that way sort of protected from the other things that are happening. Probably I think this sort of space heated up when you had that IPO.
Yeah.
And post that they sort of been a little bit subdued, and I think Jairocare, because it is that specialty sort of diagnostic, because they require more capex, etc. But honestly, it's a stock I like, so I'm not sure why it has corrected, but it's a stock that I like.
Moil Limited doing particularly well in trade today, up as much as nearly 6%, 5.9% or thereabouts as we speak. In fact, gaining in the last few sessions itself, year-to-date, gains of as much as 13%. The question from Sagar Damani is, does this stock have the potential to raise to reach 200 in the near term? Jignesh, on the charts, does that seem likely?
Yes, I think pretty much likely, but stock may take some time as stock has already moved pretty well from 125 to 165 in last 2 months or so. I think the stock can go into consolidation from here on and then pick up a momentum again to 200 level. But I would definitely suggest to hold this counter. It has a clear-cut good momentum. Not only that, the volume profiling that is happening between 143 is quite interesting. 143 is the level where maximum exchange of the hand has happened. So I think stock is changing its momentum from earlier bearish trend to the bullish trend and clear cut in a bullish hands right now. 165 is the current level, and I would suggest 155 as a stop loss to hold this counter.
Hold on to the stock, and you can place a stop loss at 155 on MOIL. Jignesh, I'm going to come back to you on Indoco Remedies. So one of our viewer wants a technical view here, and I was just looking at the chart. The lows that we had seen in the month of December of about 145. Since then, the stock's gained nearly 40%. So clearly, in the recent past 2 or 3 weeks, there has been an outperformance. What are the technicals suggesting on the charts? What are the levels that you monitor on Indoco Remedies?
Yes, Indoco Remedies was going into the downtrending channel, and recently, as soon as it broke above 177 or some levels, I think it has gone into the it breached the downtrend and now started going in uptrend with a clear-cut bullish momentum. I think this is the stock which is again similar to the earlier stock that I was talking on. 203 is the level that is currently seeing on the chart. 180 should be the stop loss for this counter. I think Indoco Remedies is recently going to 225. 225 is the level slightly above the upper band of the Bollinger. I think 225 is something that is achievable in next 2 to 3 months.
I think Graphite and HEG, two counters that we used to get queries on very, very regularly about a year back when we used to do this show. Not so much nowadays because the stock is corrected very sharply. In fact, it's trading just under 300, Sharmila, as we speak. But we've got Vinay, who's asking for a long-term view. Is it something that you would say you should be cautious about because a lot of moving parts here?
Well, you know, honestly, there was a story for the pricing of graphite electrodes, which has now sort of...
Which had to do with Chinese regulations,
right.
essentially.
So now that is not playing out for it. So, you know, that's my concern on it. So obviously there was a time when it became a very momentum play and the stocks had a fabulous run-up because that was the big reason, and they were undiscovered space, and then they went to these fabulous levels, and then it just really became a trader sort of a stock. Which moved away from fundamentals. So I think now you have to give it some time to really sort of settle down. It's not that the fundamentals are absolutely bad, but they're not as attractive as they were. And a lot of positives are now in the price. So I don't think you're going to see those big rallies in either of these stocks anymore.
In fact, just to apprise our viewers, there was a recent report from one of the brokerage which stated that the graphite electrode prices, even in the December quarter, have corrected. Remember, there was a sharp correction in the second quarter as well. And the raw material for these companies is needle coke. So the price for that has still not corrected. And as a result of which, you will see the margins dropping substantially. Remember, 2 or 3 years back, they used to garner a margin of about 45, 46%. And the brokerage note I'm talking about, they've stated that the margins will come to single digit now, owing to the correction in electrode prices. And of course, needle coke prices, which is a raw material for them, that remains high. And these companies have been sitting on expensive inventory. So that's another reason why the stocks have taken a hit. Okay, let's move on. Akshay Vishwanath wants a technical view on Jindal Steel, Jignesh. Of course, these steel companies have been outperforming in the recent past, and Jindal Steel also bounced back from its 200-day moving average on 15th or 16th of December. What would you advise someone to do if they've bought the stock?
I think a clear-cut hold on this counter. The counter is moving very sharply on upside, even though last 3 trading sessions have been little consolidating. But I think 163 is something that should be looked as a stop loss in this particular counter. And here the target should be at around 188, 189, where stock could see slight resistance.
Jignesh, very quickly, would you have any picks in the Nifty basket? A couple of stocks to buy in the for the short term?
I think especially for the Nifty space, I don't have any right now because most of the stocks has given a great move. So I don't have any pick, at least for now, looking at the RR ratio currently.
Okay, let's address then one of the top gainers of Nifty last year, which was Airtel, Bharti Airtel, and the moves just came in the last 3 months. Sharmila, Vijayas writes to us and he wants to know if we should look for a fresh investment for next 2 to 3 years. Do you agree all the negatives are priced in? After 3 years, we've seen tariff increases. The QIP got a good response, which was recently concluded. Would you advise someone to make a fresh investment here?
So I would wait actually at least till the month end because we are likely to hear regarding their ongoing case, and let's wait to see if you. So I think my concern is yes. Now you could potentially be in a market which has only 2 players, which would be good for Bharti Airtel. But somewhere my bigger concern is that it looks very likely that it's going to be Airtel and Jio, which are going to be the 2 main contenders. But what do you do with the new investment that you have to do? So you have raised money which you're going to use to pay off that big debt that you have. But then what happens to 4G? What happens to 5G? How do you raise money to do all that investment? And honestly, I think even in terms of number of subscribers, etc., I would expect Jio to get more aggressive going ahead in terms of pricing, etc. So I would honestly just wait till this month end, see what happens, see what the mood on the sector is then. But to my mind, it's not a very attractive sector.
Okay, let's pull up Titagar Wagons. We've got Satya Subhash who's looking for a fresh entry into the stock with a view of the next 2 months or so. The stock has been gaining quite consistently since the end of last year, in fact. Currently trading around that 60 mark, as much as 7.3% higher. Jignesh, on the charts, does it make sense to enter for the next 2 months?
Of course it does. It is forming inverted head and shoulder pattern, and the way it has broken out just 2 days ago was fantastic with a great volume. I think stock should be held with a stop loss of 50 for the target of 74 in I think 2 months or so. 75 should be the target.
Okay, let's pull up Glenmark, and one of our viewer wants to know at current levels whether he should look to hold or exit this stock. In the pharma space, Sharmila, this has been a marked underperformer in last 1 year. Would you advise someone to just exit from Glenmark or hold on?
I think you can hold on. I'm not extremely positive on the stock, but I think, as you said, because I feel like a lot of negatives are now in the price. So from that perspective, you can continue to hold.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR then. Rangarajan Balakrishnan is looking for a short-term view. 3 months, Jignesh. Would you suggest a fresh entry in either one of these?
Yes, of course. Tata Motors is something that is even interesting at current levels. 194 is the current price, and 220 is a very short-term target. I think within 1 month or so, this counter can touch to 220. 224 is the earlier high for this counter. So 224 should not be a surprise if it comes very shortly on the charts.
Okay, that's a technical view in Tata Motors, which has done quite well in the last few sessions. All right, it's time to hit the rapid fire segment. Just a small request to both our experts, Jignesh and Sharmila. Please keep your answers short so that we can accommodate as many queries as possible. Sharmila, this one's for you. In which stock would you recommend doing SIP? Berger Paints, Asian Paints, or Nestle? Tough call.
I think all three. Why not? Or just pick Asian Paints and Nestle.
Okay, Prince Pipes, recent IPO, what would you do about that?
I'd exit.
Okay.
Okay. Sharmila, Tata Power, long-term call?
I don't have a call.
Okay.
I wouldn't enter.
Okay, ITC for the long term, this is 7 to 8 years.
Very good, I think.
You would enter right
Yes.
now? Okay.
Okay. Jignesh, Maruti on the charts, how is this one looking?
Well, for Maruti, I think it's a hold with a stop loss very near to the current price, 6,881.
Okay, Affle India, again, another recent IPO. Is it good for the long term? Is it worth adding in our watch list is what the question is?
Yes, I think absolutely, because these are the new age businesses, I think, which you should be tracking.
Jignesh, would you advise someone to buy Relaxo footwear at current levels?
I think not Relaxo at current levels, but Bata for sure. So if anybody wants to go into and venture, Bata is something which has a good risk to reward ratio compared to Relaxo.
A lot of people have talked about this being an important year for Reliance Industries in terms of getting debt off the books and all of that. Would you say, so the question is, and I'm reading this verbatim, what is the best time to buy Reliance Industries?
Well, these stocks traditionally give returns to long-term investors. So, most of the A group stocks. So, I don't think there is any such thing at the right time.
Jignesh, levels to monitor on Nifty Bank?
Well, for Nifty Bank, I think one should watch the level of 31,960, which is also today's low. If it is intact, I think Nifty Bank is going towards 32,700.
You've already said that you prefer the insurance play, so HDFC Life, but Sudarshan is confused between Maruti and HDFC Life. So Maruti might just be a bounce if the auto sector recovers.
HDFC Life.
All right, that's clear.
Would you advise buying into Cadila at current levels?
Cadila?
Yeah.
No. I think if you don't have it, don't buy it.
Okay, have you done Tata Power?
Yeah. No, sorry, we've done that, yeah.
All right, well, I think we've covered a lot of questions today. I'd like to thank both our experts. Thank you so much, Sharmila, as well as Jignesh, for joining us today.
Well, remember, we're just a tweet posted a call away, so please keep your queries coming, and we promise to address at least most of them through our shows. For all our previous episodes, please visit our YouTube channel or our website, BloombergQuint.com. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.